fellow travelers, Mark here with Wolters World, and today we're here in Natchez, Mississippi for the don'ts of visiting Mississippi. And my first don't for you is, don't be surprised if you go on a trail or two when you are here. Because throughout Mississippi, they have a lot of roadways and trails you can go on. And I'm not saying hiking trails. Well, you can do those, but I'm talking about trails like here in Natchez. You have the Natchez Trail where you go around and you can see the beautiful homes like Stanton Hall or Choctaw Hall. And there's all these beautiful places you can see when you're here, and they have it laid out for you for a tourist. You want to do something across the state? Well, you know what? You can do the Mississippi Blues Trail, where you can go see some of the history of the blues. Remember, this is the birthplace of America's music is here in Mississippi, and you can see there's a museum for B.B. King. You can go see Robert Johnson, where he's laid to rest. The Gateway to Blues Museum, the Delta Blues Museum. I mean, there's a lot of music stuff that's here. Hey, guess what? Also, you can go see Tupelo, where Elvis is from. Yes, you got all that music trail stuff you can do when you're here. But also, there's some more serious stuff you can do. The Mississippi Freedom Trail, you can go and see some of the historic sites throughout the state. Honestly, the Mississippi Civil Rights Museum in Jackson, I mean, it's right by the Capitol. If you go, there's a bunch of great museums right there. Go see that. There's a lot of stuff you can really take in. And if you're just driving, you have the Great River Road that goes down the Mississippi for all kinds of beautiful things that does pass through here. So don't be surprised if you go on a trail or two when you are here in Mississippi. And I think the next stone I want to talk about is, as a lot of people, they think of Mississippi, they think, oh, it's just backwoods, there's nothing there, there's no culture and things like that. That's my next don't for you. Don't think there's no culture when you are here. There actually are a lot of really nice museums when you are here, like I was talking about with the Civil Rights Museum, the Mississippi Museum of Art. They've got some really good stuff there. You have the Mississippi Museum of Natural Science. You have all those music museums I was talking about before. Heck, they have international ballet competitions in Jackson, in the capital. And the thing is, when you go throughout the state, you'll see a lot of like small museums to check out. I mean, there's even a Coca-Cola museum you can check out when you are here in Mississippi. But don't think there's no culture, because there's a lot of stuff you can do. And some of that culture is going into some of these homes and going to learn about the history of the communities here in Mississippi, and the good and the bad history, which I think is really important for anyone they come here. And I think one of the really historical U.S. places to visit when you are here is actually if you go to Vicksburg. The Vicksburgs, that's where there's a big battle in the Civil War, and the Vicksburg National Military Park there. It has the National Cemetery, but there's a lot of information you can learn when you're there, so you can actually learn a lot when you do come here to Mississippi. So don't think this is just a backwater, no culture kind of place. They do have some stuff you can enjoy and learn when you are here, which makes an interesting segue to my next stone. And my next stone for you is, don't mess around with anything scaly when you are here. Look, some places you go in the U.S., if there's snakes and things around, you don't really have to worry about it. Well, here in Mississippi, you know, if you're in the swamps or in other parts about the state and you see something slithering around, it might be okay, it might not be. So make sure you stay away from the snakes. And also, whenever you see alligators, they are not your friend. They are not for pictures. Even if it's on a golf course or someplace, they're not tame, okay? So do be careful when you're around there. If you got little kids and you're going around, you know, watery areas, do make sure you keep an eye out for them, okay? Just to be safe. Now, my next stone for you is actually, don't come to Mississippi if you're on a diet, because honestly, you know me, I love my food. In Mississippi, you've got the Southern cuisine all over the place here, but also you're on the Gulf, so you have like Gulf shrimp that comes in, so you can have amazing shrimp and grits when you're here. There's all kinds of great seafood. The oysters that are here, oh my God, they're to die for. I mean, you will eat so well when you're here, so don't think, oh, I'm gonna go to the South and be out in the sun and work out and stuff like that. Yeah, you may work out during the day, but then your shirt will get higher and higher on your visit, because there's so much good food to have when you are here. And there are interesting foods as well. You know, yes, the barbecue is fantastic when you're here, but you know what? They actually sometimes will put pickles and Kool-Aid for a kind of a tastier pickle treat. I'm not a pickle person, so it's not for me. My oldest, he thought they were pretty cool, so I'll take his word for it. But there is a lot of really good food you can have when you're here. Of course, then there's the slug burgers you might want to have when you are here, but we have a video on the food of Mississippi to help you out, so I'll have Jocelyn talk about that in that video. There'll be a link below for you to watch it. But I think there is an important don't when it comes to the food here, and that is, don't say crawfish wrong. It's not crayfish, it's not crawdaddies, it's not cray anything, it's crawfish, okay? You have crawfish when you're here. And don't forget, here, they like to suck out the heads and then you pinch the tails to get every last tasty bit out of there. And believe me, if you're not sure how to do it, I'm sure somebody near will be like, you know what, I'll take one to show you how it works, just to help you out. But seriously, the crawfish here, awesome. Get it, whether it's in, I had it in gumbo last night. My kid had it in, like, it was weird. They put it in a queso and put it on angel hair pasta. I mean, crawfish is a big thing when you're here, so definitely have it when you are here. But don't say it the wrong way, okay? Now, another don't I have for you with the food is don't be weirded out if they ask you if you want a Coke and you don't want a Coke. Because some places in Mississippi, they call soda or pop, they just say Coke in general. So they may say, okay, what kind of Coke do you want? You're like, oh, I'll have a Mellow Yellow. Oh, what kind of Coke you want? I'll have a Pepsi, because they just use Coke as the ubiquitous soda word or pop word when you're here. Now, people understand if you say soda and pop, but don't be surprised. They ask, hey, go grab me a Coke from the fridge, and all they have is root beer, like some Barks. And you're like, oh, all there is Barks. They're like, yeah, I said, go get me a Coke. You're like, all right. So that's one of those things there. And this is one thing that I've seen a couple times when I've been in Mississippi, not as much as back in the day when my dad used to come here a lot, but peanuts in Coke, like actual Coca-Cola, like, you know, the red can, it's in the bottle. You have that in there. So there's something you might see when you're here. You don't see it as much as you used to, but don't be surprised if you do, okay? Now, my next stone for you is don't forget your manners and your patience when you come to Mississippi, because the locals, they'll never forget their manners and their patience. Look, when you come to Mississippi, it's a more relaxed kind of place to be. And so service is not always super fast. Getting things done isn't always super fast. And I see some tourists getting upset by that. Look, just chillax when you're here in Mississippi. It gets hot, it gets humid. Just like, I don't want to move too fast. It's okay. Just realize that. And when you're here, yeah, you're yes ma'ams and you're yes sirs, and you're holding the door for people, and after you, sir. These are things you do here. This is a traditional thing here in Mississippi. You have your manners out the wazoo, because the locals will as well. And one of the things that's cool about this politeness of the locals, they're super friendly. So if you're looking for a place to eat, if you're looking for a place to drink, which is also a fun thing here, maybe a good park to go to, or what house should I check out when I'm coming here to Natchez? The locals will be very helpful with that. But also what's funny is you might ask for, hey, can you give me a recommendation for a restaurant? And they'll end up giving you like 10 and keep talking. You're like, yeah, I just want to know. I'm only here for like 3 days. I don't need 90 restaurants, but thank you. You can't do that. You just take all 90 restaurants, then figure it out when you're here. Because the people in Mississippi really are super friendly. And yes, you might notice a little drawl when you're here, a little accent when you're here. And that leads me into the next stone of Mississippi is, don't worry if you don't understand the accent and some of the vocabulary when you first get here. You'll eventually get it. Because yes, you'll hear the y'alls and fixin' twos and might coulds and stuff like that. But the accent can be a bit tough at first, especially for my international travelers coming here to Mississippi. But don't worry. The people are so friendly. They'll work with you and you'll get it down just fine. And you know what? Y'all might pick something up when you're here. Who knows, all right? Now, my next stone for you is don't skip out on the historic towns and the small towns around Mississippi. Because here in Mississippi, people have a lot of pride in their communities. And so they actually put a lot of effort into, you know, having these beautiful halls kept up and stuff like that. Yes, they are doing that so you can enjoy the town. You know, go to Oxford and see the square that's there. You see all this beauty, all these beautiful small towns you can go and see. Get off the highway. Don't just take 55 down, you know, or 10 across or whatever. And I'm going to Biloxi and that's it. I'm going down to Gamble and hit the beach. No, get out and explore some of the small towns when you're here. Because that's one of the greatest things we've had is when we took the back roads that come in here to Natchez and stuff and going out to Oxford, you're like, wow, this is just gorgeous when you're here. And that kind of leads into kind of the next don't I have for you is don't think Mississippi is all the same. I mean, there are the rolling hills and the trees and the woods and the palm trees and the beaches. Yes, there's a lot of different parts of the state you can enjoy. So don't think it's all the same. It really does vary in terms of the towns and the cities and the countryside and the beaches and stuff like that. So there is some things you should check out when you're here, aside from just going to Biloxi or just heading up Jackson for the museums. There's really a lot to see. Because honestly, if you're going to the Gulf Islands National Seashore, or if you're going to be driving Great River Road along the Mississippi, there's a petrified forest here. There's a lot of different stuff you can take in when you are here in the nature side of things. That's why a lot of people recommend hiking here. Not just the trails going to see like beautiful homes, but actually going and hiking around the state. Now, another thing you're going to see when you drive around the state is, just like everywhere in the South, this is SEC country, okay? This is football country. But there's something I would think you should know is, don't think the Egg Bowl means nothing. And the Egg Bowl, for those of you who don't know, is when Ole Miss, the University of Mississippi is called Ole Miss. When Ole Miss and Mississippi State play against each other, it's called the Egg Bowl. And they actually have a statue with an egg and all kinds of stuff that they've done, over 100 times, I think, over the years. And it's a really big thing here in the state. And even if their teams aren't super good all the time, for the people of Mississippi, it's a big thing for them. So if you come in, if you're moving here and you're going to be when that game is, if it's only once a year, if you're coming by, make sure you choose a team or someone will choose it for you. So that's why you think, oh, Hotty toddy. Okay, and so that's Old Miss's saying, by the way. And also, if you see hotty toddy, don't think it's a drink. That's just a saying people from Old Miss has. That's a like rallying call, right? So you have that. Now, my next don't for you, when you're driving around and you're enjoying the state, because there's a lot to see, is don't forget to bring some extra cash. I've gone a few places, especially like getting food at the stands on the side of the street, which you can totally do. You know, pick up some boiled peanuts. Yeah, thank you very much. You're going to need to have cash. So just have some cash with you when you're going around. I did notice that Discover and American Express were not accepted as often as other places I've been to. Visa and MasterCard was okay, but the other cards, not so much. So probably a good idea to have some cash. And the last don't I have for you when you're coming here to Mississippi is don't be surprised if you see some Confederate flags and some Confederate war memorials when you are here. In Oxford, there's a memorial erected to the Confederate soldiers right there. And you'll see on a license plate or flying some places a Confederate flag. It is something you'll probably see when you're here. Now, I will say, over the last 30 years of visiting Mississippi, I see a lot less of the Confederate flag, but it is something that I know some international tourists are like, oh, did you see that? I just want you to be prepared for when you do come here, if you do see it. Honestly, on this trip, I've only seen like 2, okay? And we've been here for quite a few days in the state of Mississippi, not just here in Natchez, but around the state. So just something I wanted to give people a heads up for. Anyway, I hope this helps you get ready for your trip to Mississippi. It is a beautiful state. Honestly, this is much more of a nature kind of place to go and an eating place to kind of go. Just let you know. My favorite town actually here to visit, actually Natchez, because of beautiful homes that you can go and enjoy and go explore. But wherever you go in Mississippi, I hope you have a great time. Remember, if you want to know what to eat when you're here, check out Jocelyn's Simply Jocelyn video on the eats of Mississippi. I wish y'all the best, and I'll say bye from here in Natchez, Mississippi.